Journey back in time with us to the early days of the British Isles, where the concept of witchcraft first took root. In the verdant lands of ancient Britain, a belief in the supernatural was as natural as the wind rustling through the trees or the waves breaking upon the shore. The roots of what we now know as witchcraft can be traced back to the old religions of this land, such as paganism and early forms of Christianity. These were faiths deeply intertwined with the natural world, where the change of seasons, the cycle of birth and death, and the elements themselves were imbued with sacred significance. The early inhabitants of the British Isles saw magic in every aspect of life. It was in the whispering of the leaves, the dancing of the flames, and the gushing of the rivers. They believed not just in the physical world that they could touch and see, but also in an unseen world, a realm of spirits, gods, and magical forces that could be tapped into through rituals, charms, and spells. This belief in magic wasn't seen as something separate from religion or everyday life. Instead, it was woven into the very fabric of society, intertwined with folklore and the rhythms of the natural world. To these early Britons, the idea of using magic to heal, to protect, or even to curse wasn't seen as strange or sinister. It was simply part of the way they understood and interacted with the world around them. The first recorded instances of witchcraft in the UK date back to the early Middle Ages. These accounts often involve women, typically wise women or healers, who were thought to possess magical powers. They were figures of respect and reverence, but also of fear, for their knowledge and abilities set them apart from the rest of society. And so, in the shadowy corners of society, the practice of witchcraft began to take shape, setting the stage for centuries of fascination and fear. As we delve deeper into the history of witchcraft in the UK, we will uncover tales of persecution, hysteria, and ultimately resilience and revival. So stay with us as we continue our exploration of this dark and captivating part of Britain's past. As the centuries rolled on, the fear of witchcraft grew, culminating in a period of intense persecution known as the witch trials. The witch trials were a grim testament to the power of fear, superstition, and ignorance. They were a time when suspicion and paranoia bore a deadly weight, and those accused of witchcraft were often subjected to brutal inquisitions and tragic fates. Let's delve into the infamous trials in North Berwick and Pendle. In North Berwick, it all began in the late 16th century when over 70 people were accused of witchcraft. They were blamed for causing storms that threatened the life of King James VI as he sailed from Denmark. The trials were gruesome, with confessions extracted through torture and many victims burned at the stake. Similarly, the Pendle trials in 1612 were fraught with fear and superstition. 12 individuals were accused of murdering 10 people by witchcraft, and 10 were found guilty. The evidence presented was largely based on the testimonies of a 9-year-old child and the supposed specters the accused had seen. King James VI played a significant role in the witch trials. He was fascinated by witchcraft, even writing a book called Demonology. His interest only served to fuel the public's hysteria and make witchcraft a matter of state concern. The Witchcraft Act of 1563 further intensified the fear and persecution. This act made it a crime punishable by death to invoke evil spirits or to use witchcraft to cause harm to others. The act marked the beginning of an era where the fear of witches was enshrined in law, leading to countless trials and executions. These trials were driven by a potent mix of hysteria, fear, and superstition. People were terrified of the unknown, and witches became the embodiment of all that was feared and misunderstood. Accusations flew and lives were ruined, all in the name of protecting society from the perceived threat of witchcraft. The witch trials were a dark chapter in the UK's history, a time when fear and superstition reigned supreme. They serve as a stark reminder of the dangers of ignorance, fear, and the misuse of power. In the wake of the witch trials, the tide began to turn. The fear of witchcraft started to wane, leading to a significant shift in societal attitudes. As the 17th century dawned, the witch trials that had once gripped the nation with fear began to lose their momentum. The public, once whipped into a frenzy by the mere mention of a witch, began to view these trials with a healthy dose of skepticism. It was a time of enlightenment, where science and reason began to challenge the superstitions that had held sway for centuries. The accusations of witchcraft, once taken at face value, were now being scrutinized. The evidence, often based on hearsay and speculation, was found wanting. The scales of justice were tipping, and they were tipping towards reason. This shift in perception wasn't an overnight phenomenon, it was a gradual process, like the turning of a giant wheel. But turn it did, eventually leading to a landmark decision in the annals of British history: the repeal of the Witchcraft Act in 1735. This act, which had once sanctioned the prosecution of witches, was now seen for what it was: a relic of a bygone era, a symbol of fear and ignorance. The Witchcraft Act of 1735 marked a significant departure from the past. It didn't just decriminalize witchcraft, it went a step further. It denounced belief in witchcraft as superstition, effectively relegating it to the realm of folklore and myth. This was a bold move, a clear statement of intent that the days of witch hunts were over. But society's relationship with witchcraft was a complex one. Even as the act dismissed the belief in witches, it acknowledged their cultural significance. Witches were no longer feared, but they continued to fascinate. They were a part of folklore, of storytelling traditions, a symbol of the unknown and the mysterious. With the repeal of the Witchcraft Act, the era of witch trials came to a close, but the legacy of witchcraft in the UK was far from over. As we'll see in the next scene, the story of witchcraft in the UK was just beginning a new chapter. In the 20th century, a new form of witchcraft emerged in the UK: Wicca, a modern pagan witchcraft religion. This surge of spiritual exploration was spearheaded by a bloke named Gerald Gardner. Born in 1884, Gardner spent much of his life studying and practicing various forms of spirituality before he established Wicca in the 1950s. Wicca, often referred to as the craft, is a religion that honors the divine in the form of a goddess and a god, and recognizes the sacredness of nature. It blends elements of folklore, occultism, and witchcraft with a dash of ceremonial magic. Gardner's Wicca was a fresh breath in spirituality, providing an alternative path for those seeking solace outside the conventional religious frameworks. Gardner's influence was profound, and his work laid the foundation for modern witchcraft's acceptance and growth. What started as a small coven in the New Forest region of England soon gained followers across the globe. Wicca's emphasis on balance, respect for nature, and personal responsibility resonated with many, transforming the perception of witchcraft from a dark art into a legitimate spiritual path. Fast forward to the present day, and the perception of witchcraft in the UK and beyond has dramatically shifted. No longer associated solely with sinister stereotypes, modern witchcraft, including Wicca, is recognized as a spiritual practice that emphasizes harmony with nature, self-discovery, and personal growth. Witchcraft today is a broad spectrum, encompassing traditional witchcraft, Wicca, and a variety of other pagan practices. It's a far cry from the days of fear and persecution, with practitioners freely expressing their beliefs and engaging in their practices without fear of reprisal. In contemporary society, witchcraft has moved beyond the shadows. It's found in the words of best-selling books, in the gatherings of covens, and in the solitary practice of individuals seeking to connect with the divine. Today, witchcraft in the UK has evolved from a source of fear and persecution to a recognized and respected path of spirituality. From its early roots in paganism to the modern practice of Wicca, witchcraft has had a long and complex history in the UK. We began our journey through time, tracing witchcraft back to its early origins. Paganism, with its reverence for nature and the cycles of life, birthed the first inklings of what would evolve into witchcraft. This was a time of mystic rituals and a deep connection with the earth, a time when the term witch was not yet steeped in negativity. But as the centuries rolled on, fear began to creep into the hearts of many. The emergence of Christianity in the UK saw the perception of witchcraft take a dark turn. The witch trials, a grim chapter in the nation's history, were born out of fear and misunderstanding. Thousands of innocent lives were lost to the flames of suspicion and paranoia. This period of persecution was a stark reminder of the power of fear and the dangers of ignorance. Yet even in the face of adversity, witchcraft persisted. The decline of the witch trials and the repeal of the Witchcraft Act marked a turning point. Witchcraft began to shed its cloak of fear, slowly emerging from the shadows. The repeal of the Witchcraft Act was a significant milestone marking a shift towards tolerance and understanding. In the wake of this change, we saw the rise of modern witchcraft. Wicca, a religion that embraces witchcraft as a spiritual practice, has gained popularity in recent years. This movement serves as a testament to the resilience and adaptability of witchcraft. The practices of old have been reimagined and reinvented, finding a new home in the hearts of the modern faithful. Witchcraft in the UK, once shrouded in fear and superstition, now stands as a testament to the nation's rich and diverse spiritual history. The tale of witchcraft is one of transformation, a journey from darkness into light. It serves as a poignant reminder of our capacity for change and the enduring power of belief.